Welcome to today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from remodeling contractor Danny Lipford and the home improvement pros from today's Homeowner magazine.
Hello and welcome to the show. Now this week we're in Seattle, Washington, and when most people think about Seattle, they think about rain or technology. Well, it's not raining, but we're going to talk about technology and show you a home that's being retrofit with a cabled networking system that'll allow the homeowners to combine audio, video, voice, and data. Now, you know, more and more people are working out of their homes these days and buying more televisions, computers, DVD players than ever before. There just has to be a way to combine all of these systems. I think we found it. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Now, when this house was built here in Seattle 80 years ago, they really didn't have to worry about telephones, television, or computer systems like we have today. Well, the current owner, James T., wants to bring this home into the 21st century.
Hi, Danny.
Hey, good morning. Hey, this house has really been well maintained. Someone's taken care of this house over the years.
Yeah, we're the third owner, and the original owner was a builder, and the second owner had been in the house for about 20 years, and we've been in the house for about a year and a half.
Okay, over this past year and a half, have you had to do very much work on the house?
Well, basically it was all structurally really a great house. What we wanted to do was update some of the color palettes and kind of refresh the decorations of the house. This dining room had kind of an old style wallpaper that we wanted to strip and get rid of and then carry the color palette through the rest of the house.
Okay, well it really looks good. All the colors blend real well. I mean, I love the hardwood floor. I mean, it really does have a lot of character, which is usually why people, you know, want to buy a house of this age.
Right. We're really interested in the bungalow style house. I really like the old construction, and it's just a really solid house.
Okay, what about some other things on your wish list? I'm sure there's a few more things that you're ready to take care of.
Right. Well, being an older house, you know, they've updated the plumbing on the inside of the house, but they haven't changed the pipe from the street to the house. So that's something.
Water pressure problem, I bet.
Yeah, we want to upgrade that eventually, and there are some older appliances that we want to switch out. And the last thing is that because it's an older house, wiring has kind of been done ad hoc, and when they added the cable, they ran it on outside the house, and we want to bring all that inside and kind of update the technology.
Yeah, I hate that when you see the darn wire running up and down the side of the siding, and it really can affect the look of the house when it's really not necessary. It all can be done within the house. Now, I know you do a lot of your office work here at your home, like a lot of people are doing these days. I assume you have some type of home office set up.
Yeah, it's upstairs.
Okay, good.
You know, one of the things we love about the house is the attention to detail in the woodwork.
Oh, woodwork looks great. All the handrails, it's really beautiful.
You know, we really love the convenience of the office. It's right off the master bedroom.
Yes, plenty of space here, and with it being convenient off of the bedroom and natural light coming in, but I understand that you have some challenges in here with both you and Renee actually using the space.
Yeah, as you can tell, the office is really close together with the computers. We have two different computers. One's a PC laptop, one's a Mac desktop. And if either one of us needs to print, we need to disconnect the printer and then plug it into the other computer in order to print, and also share the cable modem the same way. So it makes it a little bit difficult.
You've had to have a lot of electricity, a lot of phone lines, all of that to accommodate all of that, and really it's just not quite up to par right now.
No, it's just a little bit difficult. You know, one of the reasons why my wife Renee got the laptop was that so she could work wherever she needed to. But what we find is that if she needs to do work and she needs to access the cable modem or the printer, she's got to come back upstairs, plug in her computer, unplug everything else. It's just a hassle.
Well, it sounds like some common problems that a lot of people are having. What about some other things in your home? What about televisions? You know, everybody's having multiple televisions now, and of course the DVD players are big now. What about those challenges you have?
Well, one of the things is we have a great entertainment center downstairs in the den, but my wife and I like to watch TV upstairs in the bedroom, and having to buy a second VCR or second DVD player is really a hassle. And the other thing is we entertain a lot, and we'd like to be able to have music come throughout the rest of the house. So with everything being down in the den, that makes it a little bit difficult.
Okay, and that's where we're getting to the networking system. The home networking system is really going to address a lot of those problems. I know that you've been involved in kind of laying out the needs that you have so that the system can really address all of those needs.
Yeah, we would like to have one centralized system where we'd be able to access all the different peripherals off of our computer and not have to plug and play with those things, and have music throughout the house and share those video resources as well.
Well, I'm glad that we're part of solving these problems for you, James, and after our Simple Solution segment, we'll show you how we're handling this home networking system.
Get ready to review your Fix-It list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
Well, Joe, that looks like a few shelf brackets you're working with there.
Yeah, that's right, Danny. What I did is I used a saber saw to cut out these two shelf brackets out of pine, and I clamped them together in this vise, and I'm just sanding them smooth. And what I'm using is a drum sander that I chucked into a cordless drill, and it just makes it really easy to sand them both at the same time so they come out to be exactly the same shape.
Now, wouldn't you be able to clamp two pieces of wood together like this and then basically use the saber saw to cut the shape so that they are identical?
Well, you could cut them to the same shape if they were thinner boards, but you'll notice with this saber saw, it only cuts about 1.5 inches deep, so I wouldn't be able to cut through both of them anyway. Now, if you had a bandsaw, you could do that. You can clamp them together and run it through the bandsaw, and they'd be virtually identical, but you would still need to go back and sand them. And the nice thing about this system, using the drum sander, is it allows you to follow both a convex and a concave rather, and a convex surface using just one tool. And you end up with exactly the same pieces.
Now, couldn't you use the same method, say, on the shelf boards themselves to put them together and maybe use a belt sander?
Sure. The technique is called gang sanding because you're ganging together the boards. In any straight surface, you can clamp them together and run the belt sander over the top edges. Now, you couldn't use a belt sander here, of course, because you just have too much of a curve. Even a pad sander won't work. But the drum sander follows pretty much any curve perfectly, and you get these in different diameters as well.
That's a great sanding tip, Joe.
Thanks.
Now, the networking system we're using on this home requires no work to be done to this part of the home. This is where all the utilities connect. Now, you probably have a similar situation at your home where you have your power meter positioned on the wall that tells the power company exactly how many kilowatts you're using each month, and then it is distributed in the home through a sub-panel. Now, the sub-panel has all of your circuit breakers in it, and the power there goes to all of your outlets, your switches, and your lights, and all of your appliances. Now, the cabling's a little different for your cable TV. It's fed into the home, connected here, and this goes straight to your television if you have just one. If you have multiple televisions, then it'll have a little splitter block that'll divide it out to those particular televisions. Now, on your telephone, this kind of serves as a distribution point here where the telephone service comes in and then it goes to the different telephone locations. Now, the networking system that we're installing actually does for your telephone and your cable TV what the distribution sub-panel does for your electricity. And Bill Brueggemeyer's in the process of installing that system inside.
Yeah, that looks like it'll work just about fine, Greg.
Bill, this looks like really the heart of the whole networking system.
Yeah, this is the connectivity center, Danny, and what it is this is where all the cables come in from the different services, for instance, telephone, television, audio system, and whatever, and then is distributed out throughout the rest of the house.
Now, tell our viewers more about the system and why would a homeowner even want a system like this in their home?
Well, most homes today in existence were built around the time when the only communication source was the telephone, and then cable TV was later added as an afterthought. What happens is that now the infrastructure is becoming more and more important as digital services are becoming more common. Like, for instance, we want to use DSL or cable modem access to the internet, and this requires a different type of infrastructure into the home that isn't currently supported, as well as digital television and some other things.
Now, I think a lot of homeowners really think of this type of system having to be installed in a new home. But here's an 80-year-old home that you're able to route everything around. Of course, somebody's pulling a lot of cable here.
Right. There is quite a bit of cable. In fact, there's 6 individual runs that go to each location for a full service back. But we found that running in existing homes is pretty simple, and in fact we've come up with some things like Raceway that makes it a little bit easier if you want to do it without actually having to drill a lot inside the walls.
And you've really made this so that a do-it-yourselfer could really take on this project. You can put on, I guess, the basic system and add to it as you want to.
Absolutely. What we've done is we've color-coded all of the cables so that you can look at a bundle such as this and know that the orange is always going to be for infrared control, tan will always be telephone, red will always be data networking, things like that.
Okay, all right. And of course you route all of this to the different locations that you've determined in the house, and then you have some fairly unique faceplates that go with it.
Right, we have two types of faceplates. We have one which we call the Complete Connect, and that's where all of the services are located in one location. And that's great for general rooms like the living room or the family room or things like that. But in areas like a bedroom where you want to split out the services, you can, for instance, up in James's master bedroom, what we have is the telephone and the data networking services located up by the head of their bed. And then down by the far wall in the bedroom, we have their television distribution and all of the infrared and services as well.
I see. Well, I'm really anxious to see everything complete and everything working. I know you and Greg have a little bit more work to do. And while they're taking care of that, let's check in on this week's Best New Product.
It's time to check out this week's Best New Product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
You know, everybody has their top 10 nasty home improvement job list. Well, I'll tell you what tops my list, and that's scraping paint off the exterior of my house.
Now, one of the reasons that's such a tough task around the home is that most paint scrapers' blades are steel, and they will dull with only about 30 minutes worth of use.
Well, Danny, that's why we chose scrapers like these. These are from Warner Tools, as a matter of fact, that have tungsten carbide blades. Now, not only will this material last 100 times longer than steel, but more importantly, it'll stay sharper 10 times longer, and that's what you're looking for. Let's face it, nobody resharpens their scraper blades.
You know, I love the design too. Ergonomically, the handles work extremely well, and then since this is a kind of a pull scraper, having that extra handle really makes it more effortless.
You're right, you get less tired and you get a lot more control. Here's another one, Danny, that I like that's for push situations. This is a scraper you push along on a broad, flat surface.
I can see where that could be used on, say, a table that you buy at a flea market, and you're able to scrape off all the old paint as you're refinishing it. And of course, getting down to the details made a lot easier with these two particular ones, smaller heads, and I kind of like the way it rotates around for a nice fresh edge.
You're right. It allows you to pull a screw and get a sharper edge that way.
Well, now these will cost you a little bit more than a normal scraper, actually twice as much, but it's well worth it to make this task a lot easier. Bill and Greg have been very busy finishing up the home networking system. Now the biggest task was the routing of hundreds of feet of cable. The drilling of holes and cutting out wall sections took a fair amount of time, as well as the fishing of the cables from the basement to the first floor, up to the attic and upstairs office. The connections were made behind the faceplates, then the faceplates themselves were installed. After that, the final connections were made at the Connectivity Center. Now we're ready for the test. Bill, how's everything checking out?
Everything looks about right.
Okay, now I see you've been successful in converting the televisions in the house to computer monitors. Now, how'd you do that?
What we've done is we've taken a laptop that's upstairs in the bedroom office and transferred the video that the computer understands into a format that the television understands, and then transferred that onto or mapped it onto a channel that's not being used by the cable system.
Now the wireless keypad here, that's real interesting. I've never really seen one myself. I guess you can just carry this from room to room.
Yes, this is a 900 megahertz RF keyboard, which means that it doesn't need to be in line of sight, and you can use it within 100 feet of any of the computers and turn it on to channel 90 and away you go.
Okay, now what about functions such as printing out a document that you may be working on or anything like that? Are you able to send that signal to the printer upstairs?
Absolutely. It's just like sitting in front of the computer yourself. Whatever you can do there, you can do here.
Okay. Now also, when I came up to the front door, I noticed a little camera monitor mounted on the side of the doorway there. So I guess that's just to keep an eye out on who's walking up to the front door. Now, how does that work?
Well, what you do is you, in this case, you would change it to channel 94, and we've applied the monitor camera up at the front door onto this channel, and you can see who's at the front door and also be able to hear them.
Yeah, notice I can hear the sound of the traffic out there right now. Now, I guess you could also mount as many of these little camera monitors around the house as you would like, back doors or even on the inside.
Absolutely, but we have that capability with every wall outlet in the entire house.
I see. One of the things the homeowner had mentioned to me is they have a dog out back named Lucy, and they're going to put in a Lucy cam to keep an eye on Lucy when they're inside the house. So I guess that's another use that can take place.
Absolutely.
Now, what about the desire of the homeowner to be able to put a DVD or a regular tape in downstairs and be able to watch it up in the bedroom? Now, how does that work?
Well, why don't I show you firsthand? Here, take the tape, and we'll go upstairs.
Okay.
And as you can see with the tape in, we just turn on the TV to, in this case, channel 86, and we hit play, and we're actually controlling the VCR downstairs, and then the T's can watch the movie from any TV in the house.
Okay, and so any function that you have on your VCR can be controlled in any location then?
Absolutely. Just like now, we hit pause, they can go answer the telephone or whatever.
Okay, perfect. And again, the camera monitor outside from any TV in the house?
Absolutely, any channel.
Okay,
Right.
now what about the audio function, the CD player, radio, that type of thing in the different areas of the house? How does that work?
Right, now that's piped through our audio amplifier system, and as you can see over here on the wall, we have the volume control. You just turn that up.
Okay,
and then
so
we can hear that as
individual
well.
control in every room.
That's correct.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, it's really a heck of a system, and great to network all of the systems together like that. But now let's talk about cost. On a system like this in a home like this, what would it cost a homeowner? Because I know you have it designed, as we talked about before, for the do-it-yourselfer.
That's correct. Yeah, retail price for this would be somewhere, for this home in particular, would be somewhere between $2,300 and $2,400.
Okay. All right. What if someone was not real comfortable in doing a lot of this themselves, or just simply didn't have time like a lot of us? What would it cost for installers, and how do you handle that as far as installation?
We have a nationwide network of installers who can put this system in, and we figure that this system would, installed in this house, would probably take a 3-man crew about 8 hours or 24 man hours.
Okay, all right, and of course the labor figures certainly vary widely
Right.
all across the country. Well, Bill, thanks a lot for working with us so closely on this system, and it's pretty impressive. Stay with us. Next is our Around the Yard.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Barbara Katz. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products for a great lawn, guaranteed.
Now, Barbara, I feel like I know enough about planting a tree that I can do that fairly well, but I really don't know how to choose the right tree when I'm at a nursery because there's just hundreds of them out there.
There are, Danny. I mean, one of the first things you want to look for is the actual branching structure of the tree. So I got this as an example for you of what not to buy. If you take a step back, you're going to see there's no one main leader, and then these branches are crossing back on themselves. So this is really not good.
I can see where that would be somewhat of an odd-looking tree after it grows a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a disaster in the landscape.
And that looks like a disaster down here.
Well, down here, just look at this. See how it's rocking in its pot? This is a very bad sign for the root structure of the tree.
Also, I see these roots popping up along here. That can't be good for the tree.
Well, things like this are actually called girdling roots. And if it started to do that in the pot, it's likely that it's going to carry on doing that once you put it in the ground. And if it keeps girdling like that, it can actually kill the tree.
Well, I hope the nursery gave you a discount on that one.
Well, they did, actually.
Well, this is a good-looking tree. I think magnolia, is that right?
That's exactly right. This is called Little Gem because it's got smaller leaves and it's got this beautiful brown on the backside. You know, magnolias are a little quirky in in their pot, but this actually has a great structure. It's very evenly
It
spaced.
seems like they've trimmed it up nicely along the way to keep that shape as well.
They have, and then down here you can see it's very, very strong in its pot. It doesn't rock at all.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's technology show, and I know the homeowners will appreciate being able to see exactly who's at their front door by the use of this home monitoring camera. Now, you can tell that a networking system like this can really simplify life instead of complicating it. It's great to be able to combine all of your audio, video, voice, and data into one system. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week here on Today's Homeowner.